What's up, motherfuckers? It's the hater back again. Tonight, we're going to talk about this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. Where do I start? I mean, in my opinion, AEW just keeps falling down and down, man. I'm not going to say the show was terrible or anything like that, but it wasn't good. It wasn't special. It didn't feel like anything happened. And there's a few reasons for that we will get to. But let's first start by just talking about what happened tonight, because a lot did happen. Show opens up with Cody Rhodes and Tony Schiavone at an airport. Cody Rhodes comes with what appears to be a private jet. It looks like shit. Goldust comes out of the jet first, not dressed like Goldust for some reason. Sometimes this guy dresses like Goldust, and sometimes he doesn't, even when he doesn't have a match. It's fucking weird. But anyways, maybe because he had like a dark match earlier or something, so that's why he's sometimes in pain or not. Who knows? Who gives a rat's ass about this? Cody leaves Dustin Rhodes behind and gets on the limo with Tony to have like a little sit-down interview. This was stupid. Why would anyone care about this? I'm sick and tired of Cody. This guy sucks ass. But yet, he keeps being featured again and again, and is going to be in the main event in a pay-per-view that hasn't even sold out yet. I think the writing's on the wall. Motherfucks! Next, we find out that today's episode will be a Rick and Morty crossover. Now, I like Rick and Morty. You know, it's a fun show. It's overrated. People think it's like the best thing ever. It's overrated. South Park's better, motherfuckers. Deal with it. But yeah, also, since we're talking about South Park's awesome. Family Guy sucks. How do you like them apples? Anyways, first match of the night, Sammy Guevara, who has a pretty cool entrance music. I bring the swag like nobody can. Nobody, yeah. Kind of like that one from Street Profits, except not that at all. So anyways, but it's a rap song, so I dig it. First match we have, Sammy versus Hangman Page. The match was very boring, I thought. There's nothing really engaging about Sammy Guevara or Hangman Page. I've been over this a million times, man. Sammy Guevara, he's a cocky guy. That's his gimmick. We've seen this a million times. I confuse him with Kip Sabian because they're the fucking same thing. So that's how I feel about Sammy Guevara. Hangman Page, this guy doesn't hang anybody. He's not like a cowboy. Like, he's just a douchebag who comes out and pretends he's a cowboy. And that's all I got to say about him, too. The match was all right. I'd give it a C-. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't anything horrible. There was one botch when Sammy Guevara is supposed to, like, kind of flip over Hangman Page's back, but he falls on his ass like the jobber he is. And Hangman is left there waiting for a few seconds like an asshole for this cocksucker to, like, get ready and, you know, do it again, basically. What else happened? One cool spot, I will say, there was one cool spot. Sammy Guevara, the fans were going nuts for some reason. Sammy Guevara goes to the top rope, and instead of doing like a high-flying move, he teases it, jumps down, and just slaps Hangman Page in the face. Now, this is nothing new, but the slap just looked and felt awesome, so I did enjoy that. At the end of the match, Hangman Page hits the buckshot lariat, which I think is going to be his new finishing move now, because let's face it, the Deadeye is just like a renegade move, man. This guy just picks up somebody and just drops. Like, who the fuck knows what's going to happen to the guy behind him? He just drops. And he finished the match with a buckshot lariat, which I was expecting because he cut some promo. Apparently, he's wrestling Pac at the pay-per-view. I don't know why. They had a match. He lost clean. And now he wants another match. He wants revenge. Like, there's nothing to have revenge for. You just lost a match. Like, you also lost to Jericho. Why don't you want revenge for him? You know? Doesn't matter. That was dumb. But in that promo, he said that he's going to buckshot Pac's head off, which I figured kind of set the tone for the buckshot lariat being his new move, which I dig. It's an all right move. It is what it is. At some point in the match, Excalibur calls Sammy Guevara Gavari, right? Which, of course, reminds me of Davari, which I think would be a much better gimmick for this jobber than what he has now. Just give him like a pretend Davari gimmick, kind of like fake Diesel. You know what I mean? Just call him Sammy Davari. It'd be more entertaining than this drivel. Anyways, next up, we have a jobber match. Hikaru Shida versus Shana, or Shayna, but it's not Shayna, it's like Shana from France. She's like Portugal's perfect athlete or something, but she's from France. So I don't know what to say about that. This felt like a jobber match. I don't see why this match isn't on AEW Dark. You know, like, AEW Dark thus far has always had at least one match that's like, you know, a Dynamite level match. while also Dynamite has always had at least one, usually more, jobber matches that should be on AEW Dark. So that was kind of stupid. Hikaru Shida wins with like a running knee in the what I'm gonna call a loser needs to lose 10 pounds match, because let's face it, both of these broads could drop a few LBS motherfuckers. So next we have a Brandy vignette with Awesome Kong. This was a complete waste of time. I don't know what they're trying to do. There's no need for a gimmick with this. Awesome Kong is cool. I usually talk about gimmicks, but either you're gonna have a gimmick or you're gonna have like a pseudo gimmick, and this has pseudo gimmick written all over it, motherfuckers. For those that don't understand, a pseudo gimmick would be like Dolph Ziggler, like his show off gimmick. It's not a fucking gimmick. It's just something he says. Brandy Rhodes is seen putting on this black veil. There's a few candles, some creepy shit. Awesome Kong is cutting like fake hair with like a butcher knife. It's fucking stupid. I don't understand what the point is. How about put Awesome Kong on TV? How about you give me Awesome Kong instead of Hikaru Shida and Shana? Who the fuck gives a shit about these broads? So this segment was a complete waste of time. Next, Rock and Roll Express come out. They're supposed to present the belts to the winners. They get attacked by Santana and Ortiz, who have loaded socks. The socks are clearly loaded with tennis balls. It's evident as fuck. And they eventually powerbomb the blonde Rock and Roll Express guy through the stage. Young Bucks come to make the save a little too late. So in other words, they end up doing absolutely nothing. What else? Next, they show Tony and Cody in the limo. They're talking. I skipped through most of this. I pressed play while I was skipping it a little bit, and I heard the name Dusty Rhodes. I'm fucking sick of this. We get it, man. Cody Rhodes has been a wrestler for like 15, 16 years, and every fucking match, oh, he's the son of Dusty. He's the son of a plumber. I don't give a fuck, man. Fuck Cody Rhodes. And you know what? Fuck this whole angle. Dusty Rhodes was cool, obviously, but that's about it, man. How much are they going to dick ride Dusty Rhodes? Rest in peace. Anyways, then we have QT Marshall, who I thought was going to make a big deal, a big like type of thing, because he was profiled on AEW Dark. QT Marshall, John Silver, and the other guy who teams up with Alex Reynolds, I think. John Silver. Maybe it's John Reynolds and Alex Silver. Who the fuck knows, dude? These guys are just jobbers. They wrestle, who do they wrestle? The Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. Now, Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends come out dressed as Rick and Morty characters. Two of them are dressed like Rick. The other one's dressed like Morty. His wig keeps falling off. It's cringy as shit. The fans now have like these Rick and Morty masks that they're wearing, and like the voices of Rick and Morty are the ones that introduced them. So it was a complete cringe fest. This match was garbage. Obviously, the people that got intros won. Now, this match obviously couldn't be on AEW Dark just because of this like cross-promotion thing, but it was an AEW Dark level match. A lot of these matches were just garbage. I did not enjoy anything about this show, to be honest. In my opinion, it was the worst show they've had. Then we have the contract signing. Jericho comes out with a jacket with pumpkins on it because it's Halloween time, which I dug. Jericho's cool. Cody Rhodes comes out looking like a jobber, even though he's wearing a three-piece suit. Tony Schiavone comes out. Jericho calls him Tony Schiavone, and he calls the fans a bunch of hillbillies. He's right on both counts. The last name is not pronounced Schiavone in his native language, let me tell you that. And the people were hillbillies because they were in Charleston, West Virginia. That's about it. In the end of this stupid-ass contract signing, they cut to the back where Jack Swagger and Sammy Guevara are beating up Goldust. Why Goldust was outside is beyond me, but he is. Cody runs outside. MJF joins him at some point, and they go and they kind of like say, that's enough. They don't fight or anything. They say, that's enough. That's enough. Like, what happened to the Cody Rhodes that was beating up people last week, breaking through glass windows? Now he's, that's enough. Don't hurt my brother. Anyways, next match, Hybrid 2 and Kip Sabian. Another 3 jobbers. Wrestle Kenny Omega and Young Bucks. Kenny Omega gets this really weird entrance. It was like a video game themed entrance saying like, you have no more friends. And then it's like, put a sock in it. And then he comes out dressed as some like anime character. I'm sure some nerd beards know what the fuck that was. I had no fucking clue. I was trying to figure it out. I'm like, holy shit, what is this guy? Like, he looks like more of an asshole than he normally does. Then Young Bucks come out dressed as Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter. We've already seen this. They did this at one of the free pay-per-views. So I don't know why they did this again. It's Halloween. I get it, but whatever, man. Be more creative. So, they come out. They have like a typical Young Bucks and Kenny match. There were some good spots, I'm not going to lie, but it was overshadowed, motherfuckers, by Kenny Omega's relentless taunting. I don't know why this asshole has to do a taunt at all points. And there was another goofball moment. Kenny Omega does 3 Snapdragon suplexes to the 3 opponents, and they all kind of get up, and he like snaps his fingers, and they all just fall at the same time like Ric Flair does sometimes. And that was fucking stupid. I don't understand why we need this. He did the moves. Why can't they just stay down and have like an organic moment? But you need some kind of nerd shit so people can be like, oh, that was clever. Kind of like Taz was saying about that bullshit at fucking AEW Dark. So the match ended with like a triple super kick to one of the jobbers. He went off the ropes and he was triple super kicked by the Elite. Everyone missed. No one kicked him in the face. It looked like shit. Kenny Omega hits the V trigger and the One-Winged Angel, and that's that. That's how the match ends. There wasn't anything special about this match. Now, this is like, I understand what they're catering to. They're catering to the Dave Meltzers of the world, and as a result of that, there's going to be people saying this was a great match. There's going to be people saying that a lot of these matches were great matches. But how can this be entertaining? It's the same shit as last week. Now, one of the reasons why it works in New Japan is because they have like a show every month and a half. So it's like, all right, you see the Young Bucks and you're like, oh, I haven't seen this move in a month and a half, and you see it. But if you see the same shit every fucking week, what is there to be excited about next week? Like next week, at some point, the Young Bucks will have a match, and they will do the following things. They will do the springboard X Factor into the little handspring thing to the backflip. They'll do that. They'll do either the Meltzer driver or the more bang for your buck. They'll do a lot of super kicks. They'll do a thing where they hang the guy up on the rope and the other guy jumps down. They'll do a few topes, one moonsault. That's it, man. That's every Young Bucks match. There's nothing interesting about this. Now, I know that there's other wrestlers in WWE that have similar styles, like Lucha House Party. And like, can you really say that Young Bucks are better than Lucha House Party? Can you really say that objectively? In the ring, they're better. No, the only reason that they're presented as better is because they're given time and exposure. That's it, man. Lucha House Party can do all those moves. Grand Metalik can do like all the moves that the Young Bucks can do. However, WWE recognizes that Grand Metalik's purpose in that company is to be part of a 3-man jobber squad that is there to put over people like fucking, what's the guy's name? Lars Sullivan. You know, that's their purpose. But in All Elite, the jobbers are complete jobbers. So the people like the Elite look all right. You understand what I'm saying? That's the problem right there. And the jobbers are treated like jobbers. They had like the first few weeks and the first few events, Kenny Omega was losing. Cody Rhodes couldn't beat Darby Allin. There was a lot of these things going on where it's like, all right, like they're kind of creating this like this structure, this hierarchy that's not, you know, too static, right? Where it's not like, all right, this is the best guy and everyone else sucks. But now they've reverted back to that. Now everyone that's supposed to win wins. That was the one thing I didn't like about this show the most, was that everyone that was gonna win was clearly gonna win. There was no doubt about it. You know what I mean? Hangman Page is higher up on the card than Sammy Guevara, who's a jobber, so he's gonna win because he's gonna have a pay-per-view match. So of course he's gonna win. Fucking Hybrid 2 and Kip Sabian are complete jobbers. They haven't won a match. So obviously Kenny Omega, their golden boy, and the Young Bucks are gonna win that match. And like obviously Hiraku Shida is going to beat this new girl because she's a new girl, and they didn't spend 1 second explaining who the fuck she is. So that's kind of the issue here. And this match was no different, you know? Obviously, like 3 guys already are in the ring. They don't have an entrance. One of them we've never seen before. You know, the other 2 are like perennial jobbers. They job even in the indies, they're jobbers. And then like Kenny Omega and Young Bucks get like these incredible entrances. And that's the problem, man. Like it's so poorly booked. And that's what booking is. Booking isn't like, oh, the right guy went over. Oh, I wanted Matt Hardy to become WWE champion. Why is John Cena champion? I want Nunzio to be champion. That's not what booking is. Booking is having things make sense and be as unpredictable and as go with the flow as possible. When you have someone like fucking Brian Kendrick come out, like when he came back as the Brian Kendrick the first time, and you have this guy, you're like, oh, here's Brian Kendrick, a jobber, but oh, there's something different about him. He's got this monster called Ezekiel Jackson with him. Oh, that's interesting. He's acting a little bit differently. Oh, he's wrestling another similar type jobber, like a Juventud Guerrera type. This match could go either way. It clearly seems that they're pushing Brian Kendrick, but who the fuck knows? It's Brian Kendrick after all. That's good booking. When you create like like back in the day, like in the good days of SmackDown, when like I remember when the Mexicools debuted, right? Obviously they were going to be like a comedy jobber type trio, but the first match that they had, I remember this perfectly because they announced it like next week. It was Super Crazy, right, versus Rey Mysterio, who was like an upper mid-carder. So it was presented as serious. It was like obviously Rey Mysterio was going to win, but they were like, all right, here's Super Crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy's going to be showcased in a competitive match against Rey Mysterio because anybody that knew anything about cruiserweights knew who Super Crazy was. So that's what good booking is. Or you create surprises, drama, elements. That's one of the good things about New Japan, for a while at least, was exactly that, was that you would have, like, especially being new to like New Japan Pro Wrestling, if you're like a new fan, you're like, I can't tell these guys apart because they look the same. They would have the same attire. They have the same exact moves. So who the fuck knows if someone's like good or not good? And that's kind of the problem. But it was presented well in New Japan because you have these two guys who you've never heard of before, and you're like, all right, either one of these guys could win. And it's presented like that. Sometimes, like, fucking Yoshihashi wins, and another time, Hiromu Takahashi wins, and you're like, all right, makes me want to look forward to next week, you know? That's all there is to it, motherfuckers. So there you go. We don't have any of that here, except for arguably in the main event. But the main event had its own other problems. It was SCU, Scorpio Sky, and Kazarian versus Lucha Brothers. Now, Lucha Brothers have been presented as like a dominant tag team, but to be fair, so has SCU. I think they're undefeated in trios, and I believe that they're now undefeated in tag matches too. So good for them, you know? This is how you present someone as strong. How you don't present someone as strong is you have this match. It's supposed to be a historic match, right? And this match, I pressed pause on my DVR to see how much time was left because this show felt like it went on forever. And there was only 15 minutes, 14 minutes left once the match started. And I'm just like, all right, man. Like last week, you had a 20-minute draw, like a meaningless 20-minute draw between Jon Moxley and Pac. Meaningless, completely. Even if like these guys were actual big deals and not just AEW big deals, it would still be inappropriate to give them 20 minutes and to give the historic first ever tag champs only 14 minutes, right? So I was like, all right, this match is going to suck ass. And I was not wrong. There were a lot of botches in this match. There were a lot of things that were kind of cool too, but a lot of botches. And in my opinion, to cover a botch, you need to do at least 10 to 15 cool things. And the amount of botches were like 5 or 6. And there were not, motherfuckers, 60 to 90 cool things here. There was like 6 botches and like maybe 7 cool things. And a lot of the cool things are things we've seen before. And also, I'm fucking sick of this Cero Miedo nonsense, right? Like, all right, you can do that. It can be explained through kayfabe that you do that in an immaterial match. But in a match where you will be the first ever tag team champions of like the hot company on the block, motherfuckers, this might one day, like if everything goes well according to plan, which it obviously won't, but if everything went well, the strategy here is that in maybe 50, 60 years or longer, AEW, if it's still around, will surpass WWE, right? Or maybe even quicker if they're like really awesome, you know what I mean? So at some point, these might be considered the most prestigious tag titles in wrestling. So the first champion is very important. Kind of like how we look back at like Bruno Sammartino, or I think he was, or Buddy Rogers. Who the fuck knows, man? The first ever WWE champion. Like you look back at that guy, whoever the fuck he is, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, he was the first one. You know, now it's Jinder Mahal, let's say, but he was the first one. But so this match should be flawless. It should be in a pay-per-view. It should be with 2 mainstream teams. Like even though SCU is undefeated and Lucha Brothers have been presented as strong, they're not the top 2 teams. They're not even one of them is in the top 2 teams, right? Young Bucks, Santana and Ortiz are clearly the main event teams. They're the ones that are getting a fucking pay-per-view match, right? With like basically no story. The story is just LAX is here now and they don't like the good guys. They attack people randomly. The Young Bucks are now heroes. It's fucking stupid as shit. I don't know how I feel about it. So there you go. Also, something else that I noticed in this match was that at some point, one of the announcers said, Scorpio Sky is one of the best athletes we have in AEW. Bullshit. I'm sick of this nonsense, man. Starting with Shelton Benjamin, who really was an incredible athlete. Every fucking black guy is the best athlete they have. Like, Does no one know how to book black guys? How about this? Book them the same way you book other people, man. Just give them normal storylines and normal gimmicks and normal ideas, right? They don't say about Frankie Kazarian, oh, he's one of the best athletes, right? Even though, in my opinion, Frankie Kazarian is a better athlete than Scorpio Sky. Ray Phoenix is a better athlete. Both the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are better athletes. Jack Evans is a better athlete. Angelico is a better athlete. There's like, Darby Allin is probably a better athlete. Jack Swagger is a way better athlete. Like, this company is full of way better athletes, right? So this is just an insult to my intelligence, and I don't want to say it's racist because that's just stupid, but it's racial, as one of my heroes in life would say. It's racial. It's like, why does this guy have to be the best athlete? He's not. There's nothing really that special about him, so let's just make him the best athlete. That was exactly what happened with Shelton Benjamin. They understood that Shelton Benjamin was limited in his charisma and his ability to like speak on the mic. And he was therefore presented as just this incredible athlete whose moves speak for themselves, right? Kind of like an AJ Styles earlier in his career, even though I think AJ Styles has gotten pretty good on the mic. Like, that's how it's presented. So overall, I give this show like a fucking, maybe a D+ or a C-. I thought it was complete shit. And the reason was, aside from everything I just said, it was complete shit for a few other reasons. And they are these. Number one, Jericho didn't have a match. You have Jericho, he should have a match at least every other week. I get it. He's Jericho. He doesn't want to, like, be out there and, like, just do matches and matches and matches because he's an important guy. So have him wrestle once every 2 weeks. I don't want to say once every 3 weeks, once every 2 weeks. Like, he can even be in a tag match or something. Jack Swagger has yet to make his debut. What the fuck was the point? He needs to wrestle. He needs to have a match. That also sucked ass. Awesome Kong wasn't on the show, right? Now, these are people that I actually like that should be on the show. But here now is a list of people that I don't like but should be on the show just because they're presented as big deals. Jon Moxley, he should have been on the show and had a match, not cut a stupid promo like he did. Darby Allin, are you going to push this guy or not? Fucking make up your minds. He didn't have a match. MJF hasn't had a match in a few weeks, nor has Darby Allin, really. Who else didn't have a match? Pac didn't have a match. So a lot of the people that they featured in their pay-per-views did not have matches. I get it. Jon Moxley had a match last week, and for that reason, they don't want him to have another match, I guess. But in my opinion, it should be the other way around. Because he had a match that ended in a screwy finish, he should have a match this week to solidify himself. Have jobber matches. Have him just squash someone in 5 minutes. Why the fuck would I want to see a 15-minute jobber match involving like QT Marshall and his two other dweebs, right? That should be like a 5-minute match, man. It should, like, a lot of these matches went on too long. Like, there's no reason to be interested at all in Shida and Shayna or Shana, right? The only reason for this match to exist is to put one of them over, right? If you want to push Hikaru Shida, which I don't see why you would, she sucks. But if you want to push her, have her just destroy this new girl, right? There's no time. You only have 2 hours a week. There's no time to present everyone as equal. WWE, the reason why Raw is 3 hours is because they insist, like after like 2008 or so, they insisted on having these long drawn out matches, right? If you look at the Attitude Era, which was like obviously the height of wrestling, every match was either like a jobber match, a squash match, or the main event, man. Like on SmackDown, or had some sort of screwy finish so it ended quick. Right? You had an over-reliance on gimmick matches, right? To put people over and to drive storytelling, and an under-reliance on 15-minute spot-heavy nonsense, right? Like, I remember this match back in the day. Big Show, when he was a face, right? Like some heel general manager type put him in a match, at a 2-on-1 handicap match, tables match against the Dudleys, right? And this match was the perfect match. It didn't go on too long. Big Show did his thing. He beat their ass a little bit, and then the Dudley Boys 3D'd him from the top rope through a table, right? Now, let me explain what this achieves. This puts Big Show over as a likable face because he's being 2-on-1 by the Dudley Boys, who were vicious heels back then. 2, it puts over the Dudley Boys as a legitimate tag team because back in the Attitude Era, the tag teams were considered like on the same level as like the European Championship, right? Like that level of wrestler, like on the card. The tag teams were not a big deal unless it was like the New Age Outlaws and they were part of a greater storyline, right? So the tag teams were considered to be as shitty. But even then, they understood that a tag team, especially the tag team champions or like a high-profile tag team like the Dudleys, should, after a hard match, be able to beat Big Show, who was presented as a legitimate main eventer. So it puts over the Dudleys, right? It puts over Big Show. It tells a story of Big Show getting screwed by the heel general manager, right? And we get to see a nice little table match with a 3D through the table from the top rope. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Like, that match, which is like a throwaway SmackDown match that I remember for some reason, because I have an insanely weird memory, that match achieves like 3 or 4 things. What the fuck was achieved by like the Rick and Morty? I guess the thing that was achieved was the Rick and Morty like shameless plugging, I guess. But what the fuck was achieved by Hikaru Shida, or whatever the fuck her name is, and Shana? What was achieved by this, man? A fucking zero was achieved by this. The match wasn't entertaining. Nothing cool happened, right? No one's gonna care about these broads next week, right? Where are the people that you have positioned as stars? In wrestling, things have to make sense. When you introduce Darby Allin to me as a guy that takes Cody Rhodes, who is now the #1 contender, when he takes Cody Rhodes to the limit, he takes Cody Rhodes to the fucking limit in a 20-minute match, right? That's what I need to see. Show me that guy. He almost beat Jericho. Where the fuck is he, man? He wasn't here last week, I don't think. He wasn't here this week. Where the fuck is Darby Allin? Not that I'm dying to see him, but now I care even less. There has to be some sort of consistency. Consistency is what drives wrestling, right? That's the reason why Triple H for like 5 years came out and cut the same promo like every day, right? Because that was his shtick. And you remember him for that, and you remembered him, and you would look forward every week to see, all right, who's going to step up? The promo wasn't what was important. What was important was who's going to step up to Triple H this week, and how will this resolve itself? That's what wrestling is. Wrestling is not like, oh, we're going to have an event. There's absolutely nothing to look forward to. Like, I don't know what the fuck's happening next week. The only thing they advertised for this week was the tag match, which was underwhelming at best, right? So that's what I'm saying. That's the problem, right? We have a pay-per-view, and I'm going to take a few minutes here to look at Full Gear on Wikipedia. Let's see if we can find it, if they even have a Wikipedia for this bitch. It looks like they do. And I'm going to look at the card and see what the card is. All right. This event is on November 9th. It is now technically October 31st. So we got like, well, let's just say it's the 30th because it's after midnight, motherfuckers. Who cares? So we got like 10 days till this pay-per-view, which in many ways is their first pay-per-view. I know they've had like the All Out and everything else, but I don't like was that even produced by AEW? Like, who cares? Let's say it was. But this is their first pay-per-view after having their weekly show. So it's the first big payoff. Like, you started watching the show with us, motherfuckers, right? You're a fan now. You bought into our t-shirt company, and now here is the first payoff, the pay-per-view, which will probably be like $60. Now, let's go and see what the matches are and see if there's any storyline to these matches. So first we have Adam Page versus Pac in a singles match. There is no story here. The only story here is they already had one match and Pac beat Adam Page. So therefore, they need to have another pay-per-view match. I don't know why. Couldn't give a shit. Next, we have the Young Bucks versus Santana and Ortiz. The storyline here is this. Santana and Ortiz are trying to make a statement, and they're bad guys. Young Bucks are good guys. So that's no story either. Jericho and Cody for the championship. The storyline is Cody wants to finally be champion. Jericho is champion. He's a bad guy. Like thus far, arguably, there's been no storylines whatsoever. And some people are like, oh, Cody Rhodes is the best storyteller. No, Cody Rhodes is a fucking jobber. And then we have Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in a non-sanctioned match. Probably to protect someone's record. Now, this match has a semblance of a story. It doesn't have a real story, but it has, they've paid some attention to it in some ways. And in some ways, they've fallen flat on their asses. So this is a pay-per-view in 10 days. That means there is only one more episode, motherfucks, of AEW Dynamite. Until, fuckers, we get this pay-per-view. So, there you go. What the fuck is there to look forward to? 4 matches? Are you gonna, what's next? What else are they gonna put there? At this point, everything else they put there will feel forced and not pay-per-view worthy. It will no way have a storyline, right? So, AEW Full Gear will be exactly like another AEW Dynamite. What would be the difference? right? Like, because it's the first pay-per-view, they might have some sort of surprise, like, oh, like a new guy appears, something like that. But what's going to be the difference? They're going to be 15, 20-minute matches, right? Spot fests. Why would I buy this pay-per-view? I'm not going to, obviously. I might try to, like, watch it with a friend if a friend of mine orders it, but I ain't paying one dime for that shit. Like, I'll watch with a friend if my friend's like, yo, man, you can come, and I just want you there because you're awesome, but you don't have to pay shit. Or I'll stream it illegally. Nah, I'm not going to do that because I've never really streamed anything illegally. So I'm a good boy, motherfuckers. The hater is not a thief. So there you go. AEW sucks ass once again. I don't understand. Like, I get this weird joy saying that it sucks ass once again because it proved me wrong for a couple of weeks. For a couple of weeks, it was pretty good. The only hope we have is that after this pay-per-view, right? After this dumb pay-per-view, maybe they'll kind of reset. Maybe they'll start actually booking some storylines and things like that because that would make some sense. And eventually down the line, they can introduce like a mid-card title. And maybe we'll see some of the people we haven't seen in weeks, some of them in months. Like, where the fuck is Ty Dillinger? Where the fuck is this guy, man? Where'd he go? With Tully Blanchard probably blowing Tully in the back as Arn Anderson rams him from behind. You understand what I'm saying? Anyways, motherfuckers, that has been your video today by The Hater. Tomorrow we have, what's it called? Fucking Crown Jewel, so I'm going to watch that. I got to do some work, and I think it's during the day. So I'll try to get my work done and then watch this some bitch. And, yeah, it's going to be that. I couldn't watch SmackDown because it turns out I didn't record it because it was on Fox Soccer 1 or whatever the fuck. So how would I know that, motherfuckers? I don't listen to what Michael Cole says. So there you go. And then I'm going to read the NXT results and give my thoughts on that in a video coming up right after this. Fuck faces. All right, dogs. See you later, motherfuckers.